Hello, everyone.
Been a while.
Been quite a few years, and there's a slight role reversal here. But
yeah, I haven't got a steering wheel in front of me, so it's weird.
It's really weird. I have to
Very
go
weird.
now. But we're on the way to see the Odyssey today,
Christopher Nolan,
Christopher
latest
Nolan's Odyssey,
Christopher Nolan film.
which came out 2 days ago. I've done my best to avoid speculation and spoilers and rumours.
Not much has popped up on my socials about it.
No, the thing is, like,
That's not
do you have any kind of prior connection to it? Because I actually read the book, The Odyssey, it must have been more than 10 years ago when I read it.
And do you remember much from it?
I do remember much from it. I remember two things of it that I really didn't like. But I remember how it's an epic poem, but the version I read, it reads more like a novel. It's more set out like a sort of kind of standard novel. And I really enjoyed it. It's a very kind of classic epic tale.
Right.
I'll say the two things I didn't like about it, and I don't know how much it's going to factor into the film, but for me, first was a lot of the dialogue, because you've got Odysseus, the main character, who's this, smart and cunning guy. Because
Odysseus is Matt Damon.
Yeah,
he's going to be Matt
he's
Damon.
the guy. He comes up with the Trojan horse, which allows them to win the Trojan War.
Gotcha.
And then he travels. He goes on this Odyssey to get back home.
Yeah.
And a lot of the characters he runs into, they just talk endlessly. Oh, Odysseus, you're brilliant. You're fantastic. You're so smart. You're such a great strategist.
Blowing smoke up his ass.
Like Jesus Christ! Like so many conversations like that. The second is, I don't know if you see, but the suitors, were these people that are in Odysseus' house while he's away. There's a segment with them which drags ass.
So,
I don't know if it's just the version I read, but man, that goes on for a long time.
So that's from the advert, isn't it? Because it was the people that are there whilst Matt Damon's away saying he's never going to come back.
Robert Pattinson is, I think it's Antinous.
There's a hell of a cast in this, to be fair.
To be fair, Nolan always has massive casts in his films. Like he said, because we seen Oppenheimer a few years ago, really liked Oppenheimer. He said one of the reasons it was an all-star cast is because it makes it easier to tell the characters apart, because you're not going to forget that person because it's Matt Damon. You won't forget them because it's Emily
Robert
Blunt.
Downey Jr. and yada 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 and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But he has got Tom Holland in this one, hasn't he?
Tom Holland's in this one.
That's his first Christopher Nolan one.
It is, yeah. A lot of them are returning, like Matt Damon's back, of course, and then what you call
Anne Hathaway.
Anne Hathaway's back, yes. She's Penelope, so this is his wife. So
right, okay.
With this one, like the trailer came out, I think it was last year, and I seen it was a teaser trailer, and it was great. Like I think I've remarked before how much I loved the Oppenheimer trailer. I watched it over and over and over again. This was another great trailer, and then they released another one, which was a couple of months ago.
Make it look as good.
No, I think the problem was the original one had the kind of less is more approach. This and that last one, there was too much dialogue, and the dialogue sounded weird. It sounded too modern. Did you hear everyone making fun of the fact that the word dad and daddy was used, which I know you can't have it.
It made you turn your nose up at it. Like,
it'd be hard to have a whole film with proper, like, archaic dialogue, like 3,000 years ago. But
I get that, but on the other hand, daddy,
I mean, the thing is, you could have just used the word father, and it would have made sense, because that's a much
that
more
would
classical
work.
term. So, like, I'm looking forward to seeing what he's going to do, because Nolan is he's an epic filmmaker. Like, when we went to see Dunkirk, that was one of my best.
Oh, that was one of my best film experiences.
Yeah, because I've seen a lot of films. I've seen a lot of films in the cinema where I've come away and thought I could have watched that at home and been just as happy. But with something like Dunkirk, no, you got the full effect there. With this, because he travelled, various parts of the world to make this.
Yeah. Plus, Christopher Nolan and stuff. It's always known for scale and effects and things like that. So, and it works much better on the big screen. It does. I think it does.
And also because it's very practical. Like he's not using, he used very, very minimal CGI. He's using lots of props and puppets and things like this. So again, it's that very immersive, very tactile filmmaking where even though you're watching it on a screen, you still a lot of it still feels very real. Yeah,
but overall, you got a bit more of a heads up because you read the book. I'm going in completely clean slate, and I've only seen the adverts for it.
Yeah,
that's it. So it'll be interesting to see what your dynamic is by the end of it compared to my dynamic at the end of it. Because again, if I go in clean slate and I end up really enjoying it, but it's still a Christopher Nolan moment, so it still feels like it might slightly be a little bit of homework. You've got to remember this, got to remember that. It just depends if he doesn't do what was it, Memento?
Yes.
Like that, where you really had to pay attention.
Yeah, well, that's
little details.
Kind of one of the criticisms. Remember when we first? Well, I think it was the first time I watched Inception. You showed it to me.
Yeah.
And one of the problems was that the plot was so complicated. So much of the dialogue was just exposition and people asking questions. Well, he made a film. I don't know if you've seen it in 2020, Tenet. That was this kind of same thing.
Was like the same thing, but even worse.
That was actually worse. I can say I didn't hate Tenet, but I wouldn't say I really enjoyed Tenet. even better, I was actually watching Tenet with somebody who, like, English is not their first language, so they were even more baffled by it. But I still generally...
What is like halfway through the film? Yeah. What is actually happening right now?
But generally, I generally very much like Christopher Nolan films. They're the kind of, like, when this was announced, I'm like, this is going to be good. I'm definitely going to go and see it because it feels like the kind of thing I would definitely want to go and see. I think he's going to do a lot of great stuff with the source material. I think with all the practical effects, I think it's going to look and feel great.
Christopher Nolan isn't known for doing like you know movies of the moment and stuff like that, but that daddy thing is slightly concerning me because that's not Christopher Nolan. So like it is solely him. There's no other director involved or writer involved or anything like that's.
The thing is, he's based this on an adaptation from a couple of years ago, and obviously, like, with different adaptations and whatever. So, like, that doesn't really concern me as much as what he's actually done, like, with the actual source, like, with like, how has he approached this adaptation? What is he doing? What is he bringing that's new? What is he changing? Because you're never going to make an adaptation that absolutely everybody loves, because someone always has kind of nitpicky problems. But I'm worried. I don't know, the emotional might be lacking because Nolan's famous for his very kind of cold and clinical films. So in Oppenheimer, it almost seemed like with the love scenes, like he was trying to overcorrect with that. So I don't know what's going to happen here. I don't know how that's going to factor in, because so much of it is Odysseus trying to get back to.
So that's basically the main story of this. It's just Odysseus trying to get back to, like, I don't want to say his people, but basically back home.
He's trying to get back to his family,
and
because
the Robert Pattinson character and all that lot, they're the ones that are basically like convincing everyone that you don't need him.
Yeah, they're the suitors.
They're the ones that are better than him.
They're trying to convince him that Odysseus is dead because they're trying to marry Penelope. If they marry Penelope, then they can get the throne of Ithaca, because that's the whole deal. They want to take that over. So Odysseus has to get back. So it's great because there's a battle with Odysseus against all these gods, but then Penelope, who's using all these very cunning tactics to avoid having to marry any of these assholes that are in her house. So there's that kind of going on.
So do you think the focus is going to be on Penelope during this, and then we're just going to keep cutting back to Matt Damon trying to get back?
It's apparently not even that, because also Tom Holland, who's playing Odysseus' son, whose name I can't pronounce, he apparently sets out to try and look for his dad, to look for clues for his dad. So like we have another 3 storylines going. We've got Odysseus getting home, his son trying to find him, and then his wife trying to fend off the suitors. So like how many? Because Nolan is not famous for his linear storytelling.
No, I mean it worked in Dunkirk. Everything lined up nicely in Dunkirk. So it just hopefully has the same case again with this.
Yes.
Hopefully.
So I think overall, I think the film is going to feel epic. Yeah. That's going to be it, because he's done it on this grand scale. It's the first film.
It's Christopher Nolan. It's his budget.
Yeah. In IMAX cameras. We're not seeing it in IMAX because our local cinema doesn't have IMAX cinemas, which is a shame. It almost seems kind of cheeky. I'll make it entirely in this format. You can only see on
certain cinemas in cities, which we don't. Well, it's still a city where we are, but still nothing.
It's a city where we are, but it's not.
It's not like Glasgow or London or Birmingham or anything.
Glasgow is our. Glasgow and Newcastle are our closest things. So we're going to go in and we're going to check this out. It's about 3 hours. It's a bit shorter than Oppenheimer, but being a Nolan film, it's still really bloody long.
It's a long one.
So we'll go in and have a look. I'm very excited about it. I've been excited about it since I heard about it. I've tried to ignore a lot of the chatter because you get that. I think it's called like promotion fatigue, where you get so sick of hearing about something that's coming out. You just say to yourself, I just want this to be out. I want to see it, so I can make my own judgment of it. I don't have to keep hearing people talking about it. I can actually see it myself and form my own judgment. Yeah. So that's what I'm looking for. So we'll go in, we're going to have some lunch first, go in now, and we'll see, and then we'll tell you afterwards what we think of The Odyssey. Right, so just out of The Odyssey, Christopher Nolan's The Odyssey, we should call it. So what did you think overall then?
Long.
Long pause,
long.
It was long.
Very long.
Yeah, it was.
I did enjoy it, but it was about half an hour longer than it needed to be.
Yeah, well, it was obviously going to be long because it's a lot of story to cram in.
Yeah, Jesus.
The question is, was the focus like on the right places? Was the kind of important bits, did it give it the correct amount of focus? Because one of my problems that I'll start off with big kind of bits, big set pieces like the Cyclops. And then those giants in the shining armor, they're actually man-eating, they're actually cannibals. Right. Which you don't really get to see in the film. Right. Bits like that they were intense. I thought the bit in the Cyclops cave was
horrible.
very, very tense. Yeah. But a lot of bits didn't. It kind of went on a bit, not long enough, I should say. It's like you wanted a lot more kind of stuff to happen, but a lot of the time it just kind of didn't. It was almost like, right, we'll take that off and then we'll get moved on to the next bit. But a lot of the suitor stuff, as I kind of said in the before video, as predicted, a lot of that stuff kind of went on too long. See, a lot of the suit stuff, it's not as interesting, but it does eat up a lot of screen time. I'll give this. Robert Pattinson I thought was great as the very slimy.
Yeah, he did come off as very slimy. The fact, like, right at the end as well, when he was getting everyone else to have a go.
Exactly, it's so classic.
And he was just hiding around the corner.
Yeah, he's the bully that gets everybody else to do the work, but he can't actually do it himself. So that was an issue. A lot more focus on the suits than it should have been. A lot less focus on the journey. Also, I was worried this was going to be a problem as well because of Nolan and his non-chronological
order of way of storytelling.
Back here. The problem is, if you go through the actual Odyssey, it's okay, he's sailing to this place, this bad thing happens, then he gets away, he goes to this place, this bad thing happens, he gets away. There's that feeling of progression building up and you feel him becoming like kind of increasingly exhausted and disillusioned and stuff. That doesn't really happen here because it constantly cuts back and forth. Like, if you cut between these different storylines, like for a long time you forget what's going on at home. And then you get back to home, to Ithaca.
Because you don't quite know when all this shit was happening with... What's Matt Damon's character called again?
Odysseus.
Odysseus, yeah. So you don't quite know the context of when his shit was happening in relation to us, because he did but how long did until the Battle of Troy even happened?
Well, that's the
how
thing,
long was he wait till then? So
well, apparently the battle with Troy, the Trojan War, lasted 10 years apparently, and this was like the horse was the kind of last
final thing
effort, and then it brought the whole thing down. So that's it. It's 10 years there and then 10 years the journey home. But again, because there's so much jumping back and forth, and other weird little things like characters not really visibly aging. Just because you change someone's hair color doesn't mean we're going to suddenly believe that they're older or younger. Like that was not. I'm not saying something like I'm glad Nolan avoided something like that. The digital de-aging. That's pretty horrendous. I don't think a lot of directors have done that very well. Some have done it very badly. So I'm kind of grateful he didn't do that. But you look and you think, okay, how long has this person been going on? I'll give it like the performances. I think the performances were all very good. One notable exception, Tom Holland. I thought Tom Holland was extremely wooden
very jilted, very like I don't know. Even Zendaya, in the rare instances she was in, she had more.
Exactly. Remember everyone, like, folk were hyping up about Zendaya's in this film, because Zendaya's in every film nowadays. She's like 5 minutes of screenplay, most of which is just looking at Odysseus with a kind of concerned face.
Or a little shaking of her head. That was it. That's all she does.
Even things with, like, for example, Lupita Nyong'o as Helen of Troy and her twin sister for some reason. Again, barely any involvement in the story.
Anything in that at all. I mean, I got a little bit, because I've never read the book, I got a little bit confused with names and like the stories behind it and things like that. Like I got a little bit confused with all the names.
I think that is maybe a problem of the story having like so many characters and trying to fit it all into this one narrative. And then another Nolan problem that often happens is because of the sound balance, a lot of dialogue is inaudible.
The amount of times I'm like, I had no clue what they just said because there was too much sound, like too much waves and stuff going on. Or the music was too loud too. But is that because we weren't in IMAX?
I think IMAX is just a video format. I think the problem is even when there's no music or there's no action going on, I don't know if it's something to do with the way it's recorded. For example, when they're in the Cyclops cave, it's very, very echoey, which would make sense because that's what it's like. But I didn't really have trouble hearing it then. But there's other times where characters are just talking, just a face-to-face conversation,
and you're still like,
I don't know if it's because a lot of characters are like mumbling their lines or something like that. But
or there's too much going on in the background, like when Robert Pattinson was saying stuff at the table and things like that. I'm like, I can't quite make out what's going on here. There's a little bit of that.
It's this weird, like, kind of talking with a kind of like a closed jaw.
Gritted teeth kind of.
So it's hard to hear what they're saying. I mean, in terms of like scale, yes, epic film, incredibly well done battle sequences. Like the Fall of Troy is just incredible. You would feel like they did actually destroy a full city. It's the kind of thing that Nolan would do. And then the bits on the ocean. I
like the bit with the metal dudes.
Yes, the
that was good.
They've got such a long name. I'm not even going to begin to pronounce
the metal cannibals.
But again, it was very, very intense. Like when they emerged from, like just when they emerged from the mist, and you look around, and you're like, holy shit, these guys are scooting in. There was a bit I never realised before, or maybe I've just forgotten it, where they come along and they're attacking all the warriors, and then the trees start moving, which create these like little
cages that people got stuck in, and they just got stabbed with.
That's brilliant. But I like that. That's the kind of magical realism coming into, because a lot of this film, it's because Nolan is obsessed with doing everything practically. I was wondering, you lose a lot of the fantastical elements. So I mean, like for example, the scene where Cersei turns all the people into pigs. I like that because again, that's playing into the kind of magical mythology of it, but a lot of it is because it's...
Oh, that was horrific when she was doing that stuff to the guys' faces to morph them into pigs.
Yeah, she was morphing
She was ripping their faces and stuff like that, and like, it was like body dysmorphia, things like that. Yeah. Oh, it was awful, that stuff, but really good.
But even then afterwards, it's kind of, okay, right, that's the thing, and kind of carry on.
It did feel like, go here, do this, get out of it, okay, go here, do this, with a bit of ocean in between.
Yeah, I don't know if, like, how many kind of moral... You could understand the moral lessons in places. Sometimes it is very confusing.
Yeah.
When Odysseus is talking to Penelope and he's giving this whole spiel about the Trojan War, another bit that goes on for far too long. I didn't understand what they were trying to say. Was that meant to be a kind
basically like when the whole he didn't want to go back home?
Yeah.
That's why he didn't want to go back home, because of what happened at the Battle of Troy. Because he's seen that every single person got absolutely slaughtered and brutalized, and he was the one that caused it.
I was thinking that the whole war is hell thing. Yeah.
Yes.
It's basically he won the battle, but he kind of doomed all the people at the same time.
He kind of doomed himself really for all the guilt that he caused and stuff like that because of what he done and stuff like that. So that's why he didn't want to come back.
Yeah. I know there was debate over had they made him too like rough around the edges. Was there some scenes where he was almost callous in the way that his men died? Oh well, we have to kind of move on. But then there's a lot of other scenes where he was remorseful and he understood. I had to make the sacrifice that 6 people died, but the rest of you lived. It was either that or all of us died. What would you rather have?
Yeah.
Things like that, and how everything gets caught up in tradition. Like we're not honouring the dead, and there's all this thing about
I think
Zeus's law and things like that.
Overall, I really enjoyed Matt Damon's journey in the film.
Yeah,
that was the sole focus, which is what I was glad for. I'm quite glad that we didn't keep cutting back to Anne Hathaway and Robert Pattinson snivelling around him and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And again, the Tom Holland stuff. When the bandits went to come and kill him. And then Matt Damon makes his reappearance and stuff like that was interesting. Yeah. But the rest of the stuff about it was just like, it's so wooden and so thing that I was like, I don't necessarily care about what's happening with him.
Another problem is because Tom Holland is only really given one thing to do, which is to find out about the fate of his dad. But we kept cutting back to the fate of his dad.
Yeah, so we're seeing what's building up to what we're about to see.
And because I don't know if this is just a failure of the writing, because Nolan has never been as acclaimed for his writing. It's it's very smart and everything, but a lot of the dialogue. I mean, I could see a lot of this dialogue being in kind of classical antiquity, but I'm not sure a line like "We've been on this fucking beach for 10 years."
Yes.
I don't imagine like Homer writing a line.
At least the daddy comment wasn't that bad.
It wasn't. Yeah,
and it was right at the start of the film, so I had a shit ton of time to forget about it basically until you mentioned it just there. But I will say this: Anne Hathaway and Matt Damon's chemistry, I felt during it. For me, I did anyway.
Yeah, that was good. I think I'd say in terms of the performance Matt Damon gave, I think the best part was when I was saying about him being like worn down by this constant journey against the gods. When he's on the island with Calypso, Charlize Theron's character, and he sat there and he just looks exhausted, and he talks like, I've been doing this for so long. How long I've been trapped here? I've forgotten all of this. Do I want to remember it? I think that was his best performance because he just doesn't look so beaten down by all the things that's happened to him. That was where he gave his best performance, I think.
Definitely on that one, because like I didn't realise that she was Calypso, because again I don't really know that thing. So it was the names. When he said Calypso, I was like, oh right, I know the name of it, but I can't remember what Calypso has because it's with the lotus flower and stuff like that.
I do think now and then he did like throw a name in, kind of unnatural in conversation to throw the audience a bone. Like people aren't going to know who this character is if they haven't read the Odyssey.
Exactly.
So let's just have him call us.
So for me, I did find it a bit confusing with names and like who goddess was what the story behind them was and that kind of stuff. That was a little bit confusing. So for a complete newbie, I still could follow the story, but I couldn't necessarily fully enjoy like Easter eggs, I'd say, or like fully get into characters and stuff because I didn't know who they were.
There's some omissions I don't even understand why they left out. Like one of the best parts in the story with the Cyclops story is where they poke the Cyclops in the eye and blind him.
Yeah.
Before that, the Cyclops and Odysseus actually have a conversation, and Cyclops says, "Who are you?" And Odysseus says, "I'm nobody." So when he stabs him in the eye, he staggers out and he screams to his other giants. He screams, "Nobody blinded me." Yeah. So the giants are confused and just assume he's drunk, and they don't come to help. Because of that, so
we never seen any other giants at all.
No other giants. I think that's a kind of a smart thing to do because it shows. Odysseus' whole thing is he's so wily and he's so cunning. That's why he devised the Trojan horse.
Yes.
So bits like that being left out, I don't know why.
Right. I can see that now. Like, you don't get to see Matt Damon's character as the cunning person. As you just see him as like a war hero.
Yes.
Kind of thing more than anything, which isn't too bad necessarily for the context and stuff. But overall I enjoyed it, but if I never seen it again, considering how long the bloody thing is, it's no major loss really. But I still prefer Oppenheimer, definitely, for a length of film and story and things like that.
It's along the lines of what we were saying beforehand when we said that the kind of film that you would see in the cinema, you would see this, and maybe if I got an opportunity to actually see it in IMAX, maybe it would be a lot different because you're suddenly seeing it on this whole other scale. But overall, I enjoyed. I think the suspense was done really well. People keep wanting Nolan to make a horror film, which I think would be pretty badass, honestly.
Would it be too long?
Well, I don't know. That's the problem. Is can you really have a horror film that's too long, because that just really saps
and too much exposition?
Yeah, that just saps a lot of the tension out of it.
A little bit.
So, but overall, I think the action was intense. And it was brilliantly directed. It did feel like an epic journey.
Yeah.
Not sure this whole non-chronological thing really worked out in this instance, but overall, I would give it. It's the kind of film I'd give maybe 3.5 out of 5 stars.
I was going to say 3. For me, 3. Because I didn't know characters and things like that. Still, like at the end of it, I was still like Matt Damon and halfway. I didn't know the names of anyone except Calypso for some random reason.
And you have like big names. Like there's a lot of big names who will play a role in a Nolan film without even having a lot to. Like Mia Goth plays like the servant, the kind of servant. Again,
she was very good.
Yeah, but she was in like 3 or 4 scenes. To be fair, she does have kind of an important role, and there's an important thing that happens to her later on, but there's not much. So that's the kind of thoughts overall. Is that it's got a lot of glowing praise. I wonder if it's the kind of film that when that dies down, people will start to look more for the kind of little problems here and there.
I think sadly this kind of film is, once it disappears out of cinemas and stuff, I think it's going to disappear. For me, that's what I think anyway.
It's going to take a ton of money. It was a passion project, and when I heard Nolan was doing it, I thought he's a great kind of guy to do this kind of thing. Yeah, glad I got to see it.
Yeah, in the cinema, definitely.
Yeah, like that promotion fatigue we were talking about before, and it's nice to actually go and see it and then be able to discuss it without having to hear what this person thinks and all the conjecture and stuff. So yeah, so both of us very much enjoyed it.
Right, yeah.
There are things that could have been improved on, but overall, it's a cinematic auteur at work, and we're both very happy we got to see it on the big screen.
Oh, definitely, yeah.